Welcome to Fields of Dreams. In this video, we are highlighting the 1950s team of the decade, which is probably the greatest period of baseball situated right in the middle of the century. This is a better way to allow each player to shine throughout baseball history, rather than the all-century team that left off many great players. In the future, we hope Major League Baseball can retroactively officially name their teams of the decade, like the National Football League does. We highlight the Hall of Fame talent that appeared at each position. Lots of legends here, as this is when baseball became truly the national pastime. At leadoff, we have most likely the most important athlete in American sports, Jackie Robinson, the second baseman of the Brooklyn Dodgers. Jackie Robinson had a combined WAR of 41.6 from 1949 to 1953, which was the highest in Major League Baseball during that 5-year period. He led the league in WAR in 51 and 52, and finished second in 1950. He should have been awarded the MVP of 1952, as he led his team to a first-place finish. Keep in mind, Robinson started his Major League career at age 28, and his career numbers would have been higher. He was a 5-time All-Star in the 1950s. For his career, Robinson hit .313 with 200 stolen bases, and led the Dodgers to a World Series in 1955. Although he missed time due to military service and segregation, Robinson had a career WAR of 63.9. At first base, next we have Stan Musial. In the 1950s, Musial played over 1,000 games at first base and over 500 games at the position in this decade. In the 1950s, Musial was an all-star for 10 seasons and won 4 batting titles. He also led the league in doubles 3 consecutive seasons. Musial is also highlighted in the previous decade when he won most of his hardware. For his career, Musial had over 3,600 hits and 475 home runs with a .331 batting average. He won 7 National League batting titles. Next is probably the player with the rawest talent ever seen, that being Mickey Mantle at center field for the Yankees. In the 1950s, Mantle won 2 MVPs and should have won a third in 1958 when he led the Yankees to a first-place finish and his 5th World Series championship in the decade. Mantle won a Triple Crown in 1956 and was an All-Star 8 seasons in this decade with back-to-back 11 WAR seasons. For his career, Mantle had 536 home runs, 7 World Series rings, and a .298 average. If not for his injuries, Mantle's career numbers would be at the top. Due to Mays missing 2 years due to military duty, this team can only have 1 center fielder, and Mantle's numbers and team accomplishments puts him over the top. At cleanup, we have Ted Williams at left field. In the 1950s, Williams won 2 batting titles, in 1957 and 1958. He was an All-Star 9 times in the decade. Ted Williams basically missed 2 seasons this decade due to the Korean conflict, and this does impact his overall numbers. Williams is highlighted also in the 1940s decade team, where he won most of his hardware. For his career, Williams had 521 home runs, over 1,800 runs batted in, and a .344 batting average. Williams has the highest on-base percentage in baseball history with .482. Batting 5th is the Hammer, Hank Aaron of the Braves at right field. In the 1950s, Aaron played 6 seasons, and he was an All-Star 5 of those seasons. Aaron won his lone MVP award in 1957 and had 4 top 3 MVP finishes within his brief time in the decade. He helped the Milwaukee Braves win the World Series in 1957. For his career, Aaron hit 755 home runs with a .305 average with over 3,700 hits. Aaron has the record for the most runs batted in, total bases, and extra base hits. He would continue to be even more consistent throughout the next decade. Next at shortstop is Ernie Banks of the Chicago Cubs. In the 1950s, Banks was an All-Star 5 years. Ernie Banks was named the MVP in 1958 and 1959. He led the league in games played in 5 of his 6 seasons of the 1950s. This backs up his quote, "Just play 2." For his career, Banks had 512 home runs, over 2,500 hits, and was a 14-time All-Star. His career could have started earlier, but he served in the military during the Korean conflict. At third base, we have Eddie Matthews of the Milwaukee Braves. In the 1950s, Matthews was 6-time All-Star and came up a bit short of being Rookie of the Year. He led the National League in home runs 2 seasons. Matthews helped the Braves win their World Series in 1957. For his career, Matthews had 512 home runs and over 2,300 hits. Matthews hit 30 or more home runs in 9 consecutive seasons. Next, we have our catcher, Yogi Berra of the New York Yankees. In the decade, Yogi Berra won 3 American League MVP awards. He was the catcher that helped the Yankees win 6 World Series rings in the 1950s. Berra was an All-Star all 10 years in the decade. For his career, Berra had 358 home runs and over 2,100 hits, while having a .285 batting average. Batting ninth at designated hitter is the other catcher with 3 MVP awards in the 1950s, Roy Campanella of the Brooklyn Dodgers. In the 1950s, Campanella was an All-Star 7 seasons in the National League. He helped the Dodgers finally win the World Series in 1955. Campanella started his career with Baltimore Elite Giants and transitioned well when he came to the Dodgers. For his career, Campy had 260 home runs with over 1,000 runs batted in while hitting .283. He won 3 MVP awards in the National League. Anytime a player wins 3 MVP awards in the decade, they belong on the team unless the dynamics are complex, like the 2000s. Our first pitcher of the decade is Warren Spann of the Braves. In the 1950s, Spann led the league in wins 5 times and was an All-Star 9 seasons. He won the Cy Young Award in 1957. He was the ace that helped the Braves win the World Series in 1957. For his career, Spann won 363 games and had a .309 earned run average. Spann pitched 382 complete games and would have won more pitching awards had they been established earlier. The second pitcher of the decade is Whitey Ford of the New York Yankees. In the 1950s, Ford was an All-Star for 5 seasons. He did miss 2 years within this decade due to military duty, so his numbers would have been higher. In his career, Ford won 236 games with an earned run average of 2.75. He was the Yankee ace that helped them win 6 World Series championships during that era. Ford did win a Cy Young Award in the next decade and would have won more earlier if the award was established earlier. The player with the highest WAR for the decade was Mickey Mantle with 68. He led the American League in WAR 5 of the 9 seasons he played in the decade. WAR is an objective measure that shows the caliber of player Mantle was without opinion. It doesn't tell the whole story, but it shows Mantle's ability to help his team win more than any other player this decade. Stan Musial was second this decade in WAR, but Willie Mays was close behind, with a WAR of 58.7, and he would have most likely had the highest if not for missing time due to military service. The player of the decade is none other than Mickey Mantle. During the 1950s, Mantle won the MVP in 1956 and 1957, and should have won one in 1958 while leading the Yankees to a title and having better overall numbers than anyone in the league. Mantle led the Yankees to 7 World Series appearances while winning 5 of them. He was very clutch in many World Series, hitting more home runs than anybody. The Sporting News didn't name their player of the decade until the 1960s, but had they named one for this decade, Mantle would have been their choice. In summary, an amazing decade of the 1950s. Too many legends on this team. The outfield is filled with 500 home run guys: Williams, Mantle, and Aaron. Then, the left side of the infield also has over 500 home runs with Banks and Matthews. Musial and Robinson on the other side is just too much. Two great pitchers with Spann and Ford, who were the best in their leagues during this decade. Overall, one of the greatest teams of baseball that will never be forgotten, when the game truly became the national pastime.